Okay, so can you drink alcohol on the medication naltrexone if you want to cut back on your drinking? In this video, I wanted to cover just some highlights from this very well-mined article, which you can find online, how the Sinclair Method for alcohol addiction recovery works. Okay, so I wanted to start by going through the actual protocol and what the Sinclair Method is. Basically, it's a specific way to take naltrexone that helps people to regain control over alcohol. So naltrexone following the Sinclair Method is typically taken 1 hour before consuming alcohol. Then someone drinks alcohol as usual after they've waited the hour. And then while someone is drinking on naltrexone is blocking the pleasurable feelings that the brain experiences when we drink. And when that happens over time, a lot of people end up wanting to drink less alcohol. But I wanted to pause there really quickly because a lot of people will say, well, what's the point in drinking if there's no pleasure? And just speaking from my own experience with this treatment, I was on it for a year. Naltrexone does not block all of the pleasure from alcohol. I would say it dampens it or blunts it a bit. But for me, it wasn't even that obvious, especially in the beginning. So it's not like you drink and it's this terrible experience and you get sick or anything like that. It just makes drinking a little bit less rewarding. And what I found is that when I repeatedly drank on naltrexone over and over again, my brain wasn't getting that same reward anymore, that same level of reward. And so I gradually just saw myself kind of lose interest in alcohol. And as a result, I was drinking less and craving alcohol less. And so following the protocol, people typically continue to use naltrexone 100% of the time before they consume alcohol. And eventually for a lot of people, as they drink, they will notice that they are drinking less because it's just not as rewarding as it was before. Another big change I noticed through this treatment is my craving for alcohol just started to fade away until it was really non-existent. So I wasn't even thinking about drinking anymore or desiring a drink or having an urge to drink. It talks about how this works further, how the Sinclair Method works to really reduce the reward reinforcement that people get when they drink. And that's really one of the reasons that alcohol can be addictive in the first place, is because when we drink, we get a rush of endorphins in our brain, and that's really pleasurable for our brain and makes us feel good, and we start to form an association between alcohol equals pleasure, and that's where the addiction can set in. And as I talked about before, naltrexone is effective because it's blocking the pleasurable feelings people have when consuming alcohol. Because when you drink on naltrexone, drinking is less rewarding, it actually becomes easier for people to limit their alcohol consumption and, like I said, reduce the cravings for alcohol over time. And what I found with this treatment to be true for me and others is that the longer someone is following this protocol, the more effective it becomes, and we just see ourselves regain control over alcohol more and more. And so just to wrap up with the last piece of this article, how do you know if the Sinclair Method is right for you? So this treatment is not for everyone. It's really ideal for people who are currently drinking and they want to essentially go on this treatment to reduce their drinking over time, whether their initial goal is just to be a moderate drinker, that was my goal, or if in the future you want to go alcohol-free through this treatment. So it might be a good option, as it says, if you're really ready to make commitments to change your relationship with alcohol. Ensuring that you have adequate support, that is huge. Are willing to adhere to your doctor's instructions and take the medication every time you plan to consume alcohol. If you don't have a seizure disorder and don't have liver disease. In my experience, I've worked in this field for about 6 years. I went on the treatment 7 years ago myself, and this treatment can work for all types of drinkers most of the time, whether it's a mild, moderate, or severe case of alcohol use disorder. And I really do think that internal motivation that someone has to change is key to success with this treatment or with anything else, because I had to be motivated enough to take the pill every time I was planning to drink. And I also had to work to change my habits around drinking. I was a daily drinker for 10 years, so that was a very ingrained habit. And naltrexone was really powerful at helping me change that habit because it just reduced my craving and desire for alcohol and my interest in alcohol. But I still had to figure out other ways to spend my time and other ways to cope and things like that, which is why support can be really helpful for people on this treatment. And it's why at Thrive we have our our entire program to really guide people through this protocol step by step. It's important to note that this is a long-term treatment protocol. It's not a quick fix or an overnight fix. For most people, it takes about a year to see full results, whether again their goal is to be a normal social drinker or if they want to go alcohol free. Others might get there in a few months, others might take longer than a year, but it's just helpful to have a mindset that, okay, this is going to take me a year, just so that you don't give up too soon or feel discouraged if you are making progress slower than you hoped you would. What I find with this treatment is that for most of us, we see really positive changes in our drinking, even if they're small and subtle. It's really encouraging as we get this little glimpse into what life would be like if we had our control back over alcohol. And for a lot of us, we see these small changes week over week, month over month, where we're just, drinking less, thinking about alcohol less, noticing that we have more control when we drink. All of these things are signs that you are responding to the treatment. I hope this information was helpful for you guys. You can learn more about the Sinclair Method with my other videos or tap the link in my profile where I have lots of free resources, additional information, and also how you can access our program, which allows you to do the Sinclair Method privately from the comfort of your home, and everything is online. So reach out if you have more questions. I hope this helps. Bye for now.